cheesy or sneaky here. You know, when you have enough PvPs especially, you got to do something wild and crazy. We saw him do that, a cannon rush, which was, that was on Frost, right? Yeah, in the upper left. Maybe he's going to try it again?
That would be absurd, but it's so crazy it just might work. If he does it, then maybe we get to see like how it works.
What it's actually supposed to do.
I would like to see that, but it's such a risk. No, if I'm Super, I'm thinking, okay, he wants to play late game here. And he has to be wondering, am I good enough to fight him in the late game, or should I try to kill him early?
It's time now for our final match tonight to see which of these two Protoss badasses is that much closer to possibly being the GSL Code S Champion. Introducing our first player in the upper right in the red. He is
YongHwa.
Same spawning location last time he cannoned. Really don't think he's going to do it.
Well, he made the pylon in the front, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the side?
Yeah. Mel's opponent is
Super.
Thanks for asking. Cross spots, by the way.
Yeah.
Long distance. Not to travel.
I think YongHwa is just like, I'm fed up with this whole timing attack business. The Blink Stalker attacks, the 2-base versus 2-base. I want to play that late game. I think my strength is there. I'm going to have the better engagement when we're both maxed out or we're both like high up in armies. I'm going to have the better multitasking, the better harassment. Super's been, you know, in Pro League where we've seen most of his PvPs recently, pretty aggressive and pretty cheesy.
Is he going to make a Nexus first?
Oh my god, is he? This is the only map where you could really try for it, but I still don't even think it's correct. We've never seen someone successfully hold a Nexus first in this matchup. I think I've cast this attempted 4 times in televised matches, and this is the most high-stakes game.
I know I've seen it before, but I mean, usually it's so weird whenever they do it.
You
but
can't really...
Let's see. I mean, you know, Nexus first in a lot of the matchups with Protoss, even in the early Brood War days, was considered a trick build until eventually people figured out you actually could just do it against Zerg. And you could do it against Terran for a little bit until the Terrans really refined what they were doing. But I don't know, man. Let's see how this actually works.
I mean, let's talk about the weaknesses of this build. Warp gate research significantly delayed. Tech significantly delayed.
Gateway significantly delayed.
Potentially detection is delayed. Your mothership core is delayed.
And it enhances the number of the strength of every tech for the other player. And mind you, in PvP, there are so many tech options.
Yeah. Be it Oracles, Blink Stalkers, DTs, or even a quick Immortal that comes out. He's going to have his Immortal count much better than yours, and they might be able to use that to Immortal drop you because you're so far behind in tech. Now he's going to see this, okay? Now he goes Twilight Council. As he sees it, see if he changes things up. Blink Stalkers can crush this as well. With a Mothership Core in Heart of the Storm, it's a little bit easier to hold something like this. It's possible to hold this.
Well, at the same time, with a Mothership Core here in Heroes, or I almost said Heroes of the Storm, wow. In Heart of the Storm as well, though, for the other Protoss player who didn't go Nexus first, you can actually blink up into the main.
Yeah, so
I mean, it goes both ways, right?
Right, so if you go to the front with your Blink Stalkers, and he Nexus cannons there, then you just go, okay. Then you go in the main base and end the game. It's a really tough build to pull off. Okay.
That's interesting. So he's going to go for a very conservative route. About as conservative as you can go. He's going to tech up, and then instead, I guess, you'll get a little bit of a later expand. Maybe he wants to get the...
He could DTs, actually.
Well, you know what's interesting? Okay, no, he is going to go for Blink. I was wondering. It's like maybe he's just going to use that as a feint.
Yeah, well, he could, like... I mean, this is a pretty big stretch, but he could cancel the Nexus at the last second and still go, but that doesn't really work because he delayed his Blink with it.
That doesn't quite work.
Obviously, for Super, the tech choice has to be Immortals here next because he needs to have detection in case of DTs.
I guess... Sorry, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna, the final thought is that he needs to have Immortals against the most common FOB, which would be the Blink Stalker.
Yeah, this is weird. Okay, so one thing to note is that, you know, with YongHwa showing the Twilight Council, that, of course, does scare his opponent into worried about DT, so he gets an Observer first. In the meanwhile, YongHwa gets Blink. That doesn't mean he's going to have a lot of Stalkers at the time, but he can tech freely. He can get the Blink, he can get the Robotics Facility himself. And he can also get Immortals out quicker and get his Observer out later. Because Super went Nexus first, he has to be prepared for any possible attack that YongHwa will send at him.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't know what YongHwa might send, he has to get that Observer out when maybe Immortals would have been the preference.
Yeah.
But then again, YongHwa also getting a quick Observer out here.
I don't know what YongHwa is going to really get done with his blink here. He can't... It's not fast enough to punish. The worker count is much better for Super as a result of having this faster Nexus. He also had more Chrono Boost to catch up with some other things. Counter Twilight Council goes up, and he has the faster Immortals. I think Super is just ahead. And the blink here that's finished. If you go blink, most of the time it needs to be, if you go blink first as a tech, it usually needs to be effective at that exact moment when it finishes. If not, you've wasted resources early on something that doesn't pay off. Like, blink is not useful right now, and that's a lot of gas and a lot of time you spend on that research that's completely useless.
But I guess maybe, you know, just to play devil's advocate here, I mean, he does have that for later on. Later on, you do need that blink. I mean, he can just finish all the building blocks now.
Yeah,
and pick up from there while, you know, Super is in a much more defensive spot.
My concern is that Immortals are much more valuable in the late game, and building that composition up earlier is also better defensively. It's just a more useful, well-rounded unit. I don't know what the plan is here. Like,
well, you know, they're in cross spots for now, so they're just going to keep teching up here. Super is also doing a great job of, you know, completing everything in his tech tree. The Zealot legs, getting that +1 attack. And Super, I think, identifying that YongHwa is in the middle of teching himself and you know, trying to play catch-up here, so decides to get another Nexus. This is a moment. It will be pretty hard for YongHwa to attack, especially into that expansion down there. It's pretty far away. But YongHwa now moving down with the Stalkers.
Extra gates.
Will Super actually be able to deflect this?
He got extra gates, and with this Nexus here, he's actually just going to kill an Immortal for free.
That blink up there was absolutely beautiful, really nicely done. And then he gets a Sentry, too. And you know what? This might just be enough to close this out. I mean, a number of Stalkers that YongHwa has up here, I mean, getting the blink was really worth it.
Yeah, it definitely works out in this case, man. He catches a group of units for free. He's like, well, you're trying to make a third base on top of how greedy you were. And...
you know, from here, he could even blink into the main. I mean, there's a lot of different ways he can take this.
I think, actually, I would. I mean, he doesn't have all the vision of what little there is in the main
Nexus
base.
Cannon is triggered. Oh, nice. Blinks up here. It just targets down the Immortals, and this is really nicely done. He's going to kill these two Immortals. Blink is going to be done momentarily here. In the meanwhile, he can take out all the sentries and blink right out. There you go.
Blinks out. He's got so much resources left still, actually, to continue to warp in units. All the gates being added here right now for Super are, you know, going to be useful for a little bit, but he doesn't have that much gas, whereas YongHwa has so much gas to spare right now.
Nice job taking out just that pylon over there. And I think from here he might just want to blink up. I mean, it's a tough call. He knows right now at his fingertips is a victory here and to go and getting deeper and deeper into meeting his dream of being a champion of the Code S. But every wrong move, every bad blink is going to cost him that.
Yep. Well, decent blinks there, but he lost a lot, actually.
Yeah, actually, I would say maybe even a little bit lackluster with the blinks.
Yeah.
By the way, YongHwa is taking a third base of his own.
I don't think he expected charge to be done there. That was a bit jarring to him. But yeah, the third base is really important because he has that to fall back on. But he's still a bit behind. Actually, I'm not sure if he's behind in the Immortal count or if he's about even now because he did pick off so many of those. +2 is pretty even for both of these guys, and the worker count is actually still in Super's favor.
Okay. The Nexus finishes up here. Oh, nice move. And as he chases him down, he goes right up here. He's going to get the Twilight, or Templar Archives, excuse me.
Actually going to take some Zealots with him and an Immortal, too.
Now, was that an overextension? I'm a little bit worried for YongHwa. I mean, that was a bold move to go for that. Oh, man. It's a trap. Nope, he actually blinks up.
Killing Immortals is starting to become pretty expensive for him, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not supposed to lose this many Stalkers. No way.
That's like his whole army.
Yeah, that was like everything that he had.
If he can actually kill this base with DTs, though, I think it might end up being okay.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think there was a little bit, he was a little bit too eager there. I mean, you could see Super's execution was actually quite good. he had half his army on the low ground, half on the high ground. And, yeah, you can blink around in the main all you want, but that is the location he's going to be warping in. Super is the rest of his army.
Yeah.
And from here, it looks like Super is just going to head up to the northeast.
Yeah, he's like, well, I killed your whole army, so what are you going to do?
Where are the observers here for Super? Does he have one in the main or the natural? Because that's the big question.
I think he has one in that. Ooh, no, he has a cannon. Uh-oh.
Okay, so this could do a lot of damage.
Well, he could have killed the third base, but going for the main is better.
I think he's going to have a second warp in of DTs.
That's a good point, yeah.
And he could make a DT or two at home, too.
Oh, he could actually just target the Robo. Okay, there is an observer here, but he doesn't have any units, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, but the warp is going to clean this up. No, I mean, the Zealots will just warp in and take out the rest of this. Meanwhile, Super interested in closing in. A time warp comes down. Poor force fields do not trap the Zealots as they escape. War Prism coming up now.
Yeah, this is a really scary army coming up for Super. He's going to go ahead and fight that third base while he sends Zealots into the main, forcing a DT warp in for defense. And he's actually just going to engage this army. The fact that there's Immortals here isn't that scary for him because he doesn't have any armored units in that army. That DT's even running and hiding. I'm not sure why, but... kill this pylon here, further eliminating.
Now, unfortunately, he didn't focus any attention to that third base for Super. I thought maybe he'd have one DT down there and hide it for when the probes are transferred. That's one great way to get a little boost ahead, and especially if they're not paying perfect attention. But no, he sent all 3 DTs up there. I would have preferred to see the splitting like that. Zealot Archon coming in over here and actually wiping out all the probes over here at the third base for YongHwa. YongHwa, things are falling apart for YongHwa. He looks so solid, so good, but he just keeps having holes in his play. There's not the graceful, perfect Protoss that you would see in a Code as. It's just a little bit too bumpy. But then again, YongHwa now chasing back out Super. He will get these Immortals, which are just not quick enough. Even the Archon as well.
Yeah, this could be actually YongHwa's turnaround moment.
Again, bumpy games from all these players today.
Yeah, it really has
not been smooth sailing for anybody.
It really
It's actually making for some dramatic, awesome games.
It's been very back and forth. You know, you think one person has the game won, and then an engagement like this that YongHwa gets a good flank on with his Zealots and has a good defensive setup, it turns it around a little bit. Now he's up 30 army supply. He's only up a little bit in supply because his worker count is so low, so he needs to make this work, and I don't know about this hesitation here.
Well, the good angling here from Super makes those Archons very scary to attack into.
He could have tried to flank there.
He might come in here. He's going to tear down these rocks to give a big berth. Another Archon morphing in on the front here.
Time warp, where are they?
Might not be necessary. Might not be necessary here.
He's just got way too much.
He's closing in now. Is YongHwa going to do it?
Looks like he is. Tasteless now up double the supply. Blinking forward here, targeting down the last of the Immortals. And this Nexus is not long for this world. He tries to micro back, and YongHwa is just playing so safe. More Warpins here. Additional Zealots is going to start fighting now. Killing the last of the Archons, the last of the Immortals, going to tuck tail and hide.
And it looks like YongHwa's done it again.
It looks like
these rocky games, he has managed to prove that he is still, a viable pick here for Code S. Maybe this next Code S will be his season.
GG.
GG. Fantastic game. YongHwa breathing a sigh of relief. It's been a long day for him. Super. Again, all the games are so rocky, so back and forth, so up and down.
Yeah. That was a very, very tough and long day for YongHwa. I feel like he did have some sort of guardian angel in this group, but he just was so resilient in the games he was losing. I mean, he never backed down, he never gave up, and Super not able to get through today. In fact, for me, I really expected both Super and Cure to get through, and they both did not. Just a funny group. Happy for YongHwa. His career has been full of these up and downs with the Code S, the Code A. How far does he get? He's very widely criticized, not only in the foreign community, but also in the Korean scene as well, for his lack of performance in the individual leagues compared to what he does in team leagues.
I got my fingers crossed for him. I hope he gets really deep.
I think this could be
his time around.
He definitely had a rough day today.
Definitely overdue.
He just looked so tired today. He looked really stressed. I hope that when he plays in Code S, he's back to full shape and is well rested. I'm not sure what the issue was today, but just looking at his physical appearance, he looked a little bit.
He looked
exhausted.
fatigued, actually. I don't know what the story was. Anyways, the results for today for Group D, really exciting stuff. We saw the YongHwa, of course, just got through. And to top that off, don't forget Paralyzed just bolted through this group.
Yeah, bolting through. And Cure and Super, it was not their day. Cure especially having a really tough time in the TVP matchup, falling 0-4, losing to the ace player for MVP, whom he defeated actually in Pro League. Was not able to do it here in this very important individual league match. The best of 3, very different type of match. And we're going to take a look at, of course, what we'll be looking at tomorrow.
That will be Wolf and Artosis casting.
Yes, it will be the same time this morning, or this afternoon at 1 p.m. Solar versus Journey and Deer versus Biel will be our matches for Group E. And Group F is going to be Ruin versus Reality and Sulky versus Haiba. So 2 good groups coming at you. I feel like the biggest the biggest dark horse in both of these groups is definitely Journey. He's not actually played any televised matches in StarCraft II that I can think of.
I wonder if Haiba's going to cheese a lot like he always does. He always makes that cheese work. He cheeses more than anybody I've ever seen, and just he can run with it, man. I
don't think he will actually. Not all of his games. I think he's gonna play some really serious ones because he's like. He was rumored to retire. Nobody knew what he was doing, and I think he's been preparing a lot of macro games. Like a lot of people are saying this about him.
He can do the macro games. I've seen it myself. So
he can. I think he will actually tomorrow.
Well, definitely don't miss out on tomorrow. Wolf, as always, buddy, good job today. Guys, thank you. Yeah, we did 2 groups today. We started at 1. We're ending here at about 10. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching us. Join in tomorrow. We love you. Good night.
There's a fire in your heart, a spirit within. There's a yearning that's deep in your soul, and it's right.